Well, we are live here with actor Brian Thompson. We might have to hurry because you saw a lot of copyrighted clips run right by you there. Some great moments from Brian's acting career. We had some epic music that I'm pretty sure also would fall under some sort of flag category. We got to hurry. We only got 2 questions for you, Brian. Let's go. Start now. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. So what's the second question?
Well, oh man, that's it. Noah, you're gonna have to take that one. I'm blanking. Brian, you're out. You look very comfortable. You're out in California, yes? Probably with some perfect weather and just...
No.
It's not perfect, or you're not in California?
Not in California. The weather is perfect, though.
What? Well, where are you currently?
I'm a mile from the ocean, nestled in the woods on the coast of Oregon.
Wow. That's like one of 5 or 6 states I haven't been to, and you're somewhere near the last Blockbuster, which I think's in Eugene. So you're not too far.
Bend.
You have?
The last Blockbuster's in Bend.
Bend,
yes.
Did you have any late fees? Oh, guys.
I got in there just because I didn't want to risk it.
Brian, this is so, we do a lot of stuff here. We cover a lot of stuff. We cover football so much. So you played college football, a fan of the LA Rams. I've never met any actually Rams fans except I guess you. So even though we were in LA for the Super Bowl, I did not meet a Rams fan there. That's no slight. I mean, you played football at Central Washington. You're a football fan. What position did you play there at Central Washington?
I was a defensive tackle, and I was number 75 from the 77 through 1980 season. And if you haven't heard of Central Washington University, I only know of one NFL player to get out of there, John Kitna. Eastern Washington is the Rams' amazing receiver.
Cup.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. He's Eastern Washington. Yeah,
That's right.
He is on a different level.
Absolutely. So what were your feelings when, the Rams get Matthew Stafford, they go on this magical run, you beat the Bucks, beat the Niners, get to this Super Bowl and win it. It's a first one since 99, but that was in St. Louis. And in the 70s, people don't realize that the Rams were like a dynasty that never won a Super Bowl. They were in all these NFC title games, got there in 79, lost. Rams were like an unheralded dynasty of the 70s. It just didn't get the big one, right?
Agreed. I was not, I didn't follow them much then. I hopped on the season tickets when they came to LA, and to look at the upper echelons that we don't get to participate in, but the machinations of talent acquiring at LA Rams, there's going to be a book written about what they did there, how they went out and as a fan, I was surprised at the acquisitions mid-season this year. They go out and
dividends, yeah.
And one of the
Von Miller and Odell, yeah.
Yeah, and was at the linebacker position, Odell, yes, I understood the linebacker. Is he still at the level that he was? Not quite, but he did show up in the playoffs, and that's
all you needed. That's all you needed. Now he's a Bill, but you know what? Got a Super Bowl out of it. You just can't shake it. We in Kansas City waited 50 years to finally get a Super Bowl, which we were able to get in 2019. So it's not, they don't just hand these out at the lollipops at the bank.
No, they're getting to that final game. You could have the greatest team at the beginning, and you get a couple injuries, and no, you're not going to make it. It's who can make that last stretch at the end of the season. It's a miracle that how it shuffles and who rises, because who was saying that. I wonder what the odds were on Rams winning the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season.
They weren't one of the top 5. I know that.
Yeah.
But being here in Kansas City, we had a chance to meet you in the Super Bowl twice, 2018 last year We lost in overtime against the Patriots, and then we lose to the Bengals in a shocking, just second half collapse. And we don't get to meet you there. The Rams are there. They lose to the Patriots the first time. Here, you guys beat the Bengals, Super Bowl champions. I mean, it would have been great to see Mahomes and Jared Goff have a rematch in 2018, that great Monday Night Football game that they had.
Oh, that was such a great Monday night. And we had a viewing party because on that same night was the introduction of my character on 911. Captain Vincent Gerard.
Yes.
Came on right after the game. And
wow.
I will remember that night for sure.
That is awesome.
That Monday Night Football, that's just, I watched a game where I like, no.
Yes.
It's like knockout blow after knockout blow. Touchdown.
Whoever had the ball last, there was no way. Oh. Yeah, it was incredible. Incredible. So that a lot of people don't realize that there's this football side to your career, Brian, but there we go. What, as people follow your career, before we get back into some of that old stuff that no one's seen, like Terminator and, things like that. I know no one cares about that stuff here, but
Three Amigos.
I mean, I know. And I just
Cobra.
happen to be a huge Californication fan. So I can't even pretend to disparage that because it's like my favorite show ever. So I'm not going to even do the joking disparaging of that. So what's going on now for you? What projects do you have that people could be looking at for coming up, and where can people kind of find you there?
Well, recently released on Apple TV, The Tragedy of Macbeth.
It's my favorite Shakespeare work. I
have two really great heralded scenes with Denzel. That was a remarkable job for me. 38 years, actually it was 36 years when I acting, and I've never had an audition for directors of the quality of the Coen brothers.
Yes.
Wow.
Never.
Yeah.
And I hadn't consciously thought that those doors would be closed, but I realized after the audition that I thought that they were, that I wasn't going to get to be involved in a project like that. And then suddenly the door opens, and then suddenly you got a month of rehearsal at Warner Brothers, and your name is at the gate, and they let you in past the castle walls that you're forbidden to enter, the other, 300 days of the year. And
exactly.
And it all happened. It all really, really happened. And I don't know if either of you have seen it. Many of the reviews have said that it might be the greatest concept for shooting a Shakespeare play that has ever been put to, I almost said celluloid, but put to computer chip.
Better than the 96, better than the
audience,
right?
And I'm in agreement with that. It is because now when they shoot a Shakespeare play naturalistically, there's a little tinniness to it. But this, they designed it it looks a lot like a graphic novel, like how they skew these great perspectives, and it's basically 2D, really simple. And it has the tastiest soundtrack, all the ambient sounds in the movie. It's the tastiest soundtrack that I can remember. The soundtrack and ambient sound is like this train that all the images get set on, and it just carries it right through.
Can't wait, because Apple TV, I think, is really taking off. Ted Lasso's big on there. Tragedy of Macbeth, Denzel Washington, yourself. Great stuff there. I don't know if it's as good as the 96 Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. Just kidding about that. Even though that director just did the Elvis movie, which is awesome, by the way, the new Elvis movie, the same director did that, Romeo and Juliet.
Well, you've got a much different story, a completely different story. where, Macbeth is it's a dark tale.
Big time.
It's so greedy, and the lust for power, and what a couple in love is willing to do to become the boss. Ugh.
Right. I'm
not sure about the soundtrack thing, though. I love the Lionheart soundtrack, so we may have to go back and forth with that. I don't know.
Oh, well, wait till you see it. Wait till you see
sure.
it. I'm not saying it's a soundtrack that you're going to leave the theater humming. I'm saying sound design, the ambiance,
right?
What it adds each scene,
and it's so clean. It's just the right amount.
So, Brian, we actually had David Duchovny on our music podcast on the Road to Rock because he had an album coming out last year, and so got to talk to him a little bit about Californication. You were in an episode as Mr. Scary. Californication is honestly one of my favorite shows of all time. I think it's just like cuttingly funny. Duchovny's character is so like just witty and over the top and so many things. What was it like kind of working with him on that one episode?
Well, the best story out of Californication is how the job came about. For years, I would read the breakdowns. Actors aren't supposed to get them. And they were looking for a guy to play Karen's boyfriend. And I was the right size, intimidating, and I pulled a string. I texted David and asked him if he wouldn't mind asking the casting director if I could interview. And he did.
Wow.
David got me the audition. And then, of course, my agent calls up and says, Brian, we got you an audition for Californication. And I'm just like, oh, thank you so much. Anyway, David got me the audition. And I'm at the audition. And there was the gamut of characters auditioning for Karen's boyfriend.
Wow.
Classically handsome men, intellectual men, kind of shy guys. And I left the audition wondering, well, how am I going to set myself apart from these other guys? And I came up with a crazy idea. Do you guys know about my tongue?
No, what? Not Clint. Do you?
No.
It's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
I mean, I'm a big Kiss fan. I know a lot. I think Gene Simmons' tongue might beg to differ. Longer than Gene Simmons?
Yeah, his is long. His is long. Mine is just monstrous.
So you did what? You're gonna have to.
I shot a short video, and I said to David's character, it was just a close up of me. I said, Hank, I know you have a hard time understanding what Karen sees in me. Maybe this will clear things up for you.
That's right. Yeah.
and I stuck my tongue out. I'm only showing half of it there because so I stuck my tongue out, and I sent the video to David. I said, David, do you think this is funny? And he goes, Brian, it cracked me up. I gave it to Tom Capinos, the producer, and Tom Capinos, the producer, emails me and says, Brian, I put this on my desktop. I'm showing it to everybody that comes in the office. And then a couple of days later, Tom emails me and says, Brian, we're bringing back one of Karen's old boyfriends. It makes a lot of sense for the storyline, but thank you, and we'll keep you in mind. And then months later, I was reading the breakdowns, and a part came out where they said they wanted an intimidating surfer. Well, now Tom had given me his email, so I just emailed Tom. I said, Tom, I surf, and I've been known to intimidate people. and my agent calls me up like an hour later, said, Brian, I gave you this job offer on Californication.
Yeah, again. He's Johnny on the spot, right?
Yeah. So that was, and then the other embarrassing thing I got my daughter to work background on the. I got my daughter to work background, and so she's sitting in the booth in the restaurant, and after one of the takes, I looked over at my daughter, and she was beat red because I just said the line. So let me get this straight. You want to finger my balls and suck my cock? And director yells cut. I look over at my daughter, and it was this father-daughter. It was kind of embarrassment moments.
Is this really happening? But Clint mentioned we had David Duchovny on the show. We also had Harrison Page on the show, played Joshua in Lionheart.
Oh, yes.
Harrison is amazing. Great actor.
You are
great
a Lionheart lover, aren't you?
Yes.
Oh, my
And
God.
so I had to ask about, that might be one of my favorites. I know Bloodsport, Kickboxer, that kind of gets all the pub for Van Damme, but I love Lionheart.
I was just at Sheldon Lettich's youngest daughter's engagement party like a week and a half ago when I was in LA doing a Roku project.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, do you guys know that this is kind of Roku could be in position to nudge away some of Netflix's business? That's kind of the rumor that's going on here. And they're producing their own content. And I just did I just played. You asked me what to look forward to. Pickleball player. I'm playing.
Yeah. That, do you know how to play? Did you get good?
Listen, anybody can play pickleball. That's why it is taking off at all levels. It takes a lot of practice to be able to volley a tennis ball regularly, and you've got to be playing with somebody who's close to your skill level. Pickleball, you can start whacking that thing and having fun right away. And you can put 4 pickleball courts in a single tennis court.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why, there's wars going on. I don't know if you guys have gone to any public tennis courts lately, but in LA, whenever you want to play tennis, you go to a public tennis court and play.
Right.
And then, because they're empty. Now, if you want to go play pickleball,
they're full. Yeah.
And the tennis court next to it's empty.
Yeah.
That is my blockage to the west on Starlink. And so that's why we're getting the dropouts. I'm buried in these 100-foot tall trees here, and I'm lucky I get any internet at all.
Well, we can't hold it against you. What a beautiful state Oregon is, and a beautiful terrain. I've just got to get there, so it's totally understandable. And we do the best we can. We 2022, we make it work.
Do the best we can. So just we got a little bit of dropouts, but here let's look at these trees.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
That's like what Oregon you perceive.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's I can see like 3 miles away there, the mountaintops. Those fields that you're looking at, those are cranberry bogs.
Wow.
And then here we go. There's my electric car. And then this is looking to the north. Those are the trees that are causing that blockage. Those are 100-footers.
They're pretty nice.
Put your shoulder into them, knock them down.
Yeah.
We want.
That's my Kubota tractor. Those trees are 4-foot diameter at the base.
Man.
Yeah. So I'll put up with a few dropouts.
Well, so I have a Cobra question, and that's not probably maybe a typical one, but so Cobra, for people that don't realize, you play the Night Stalker, just this dark, brooding, vicious, violent villain that Stallone is dueling with. But Cobra wasn't always the Cobra that we know and love today. In fact, it was supposed to be Beverly Hills Cop. It was supposed to be Stallone and Eddie Murphy in this buddy cop movie. The scripts kind of branch off and become that. At what point did you kind of become aware of this project? And did you know that it was originally supposed to be this whole other type of movie?
No, my awareness was very standard. Agent calls, audition, sides. The sides were that monologue at the end of the movie, which was like, oh God, how am I going to put a real live guy under this dialogue. And yeah, it was very early. That was one of the hardest stretches of my imagination to really connect that guy with a person that had that much hate inside of him.
It was a lot of hate.
Yeah.
But the best villains think they're doing it for the right reason, right? You got to play it that way too. A villain doesn't know that they're a villain necessarily, right?
Right. They have some twisted ability to think that they're bettering society. We kill the weak so the strong survive.
Although I don't think the Night Stalker was probably trying to better society, I guess. I guess there's no redemption for him, no matter how you can't. There's nothing we can do for him.
Yeah, it was a little lacking in actual justification of how this guy got from where he was and how and with that frame of mind that you ended up getting like 50 guys to follow you. Like, man, you're the guy with the answers. Let's follow you. Let's get some axes and start banging them together because you got the answers. You. I tried to have some character development discussions with Stallone and the director. It's very short. You want to hear my entire character development discussion?
Yes.
Sure. I have a feeling it's short.
So I tactfully, or maybe not tactfully, in one of the only meetings I had with Stallone and George Cosmatos, we called him George P. Comatose. He chain smoked cigarettes incessantly. Ooh. And when Sly was around, he was a puppy dog. And as soon as Sly was off the lot, he became a screaming tyrant.
Wow.
It was
really
a tale of two directors. Yeah, like Sly's around, and he's like, oh yes, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Okay. He watches him walk out the door. Okay.
Cosmatos, he directed Rambo 2 as well, didn't he?
I don't know.
I think he did.
True.
I think
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Might have been
And he just passed away not all that long ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I know we should be more respectful of people.
But no, that wasn't to shame you in any way. I just was recalling that I thought I remember hearing that he passed away.
This is what George said to me when the filming was over. He looked at me. He looked up at me because he's not real tall, and said, "You would have been very good if you would have listened to me this film."
What? You were great.
And he walked away. That's how George said goodbye to me after umpteen months of filming. That was George P. Cosmatos. And, you can say what you want to, but we are what we do. Character is action.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to my really revelatory character discussion, Sly and George. I said, well, Sly, what exactly is our goal here of this organization of men that I have? And he's like, well, Brian, basically, you're doing what Hitler did. You're cleansing the. I said, okay, well, Hitler had a way to, separate the Jewish population from their money. They were targeted, and he was using their wealth to help fuel his war machine. You've got the script right now. We're just randomly walking down the street and picking out this gal in a car. And so how are we? She could be poor. We're not going to. How are we going to get funds from a random person in a car? And he's long pause. I said, well, no answer. And I said, well, what if we targeted people? What if we had background profiles on them? We could have 3x5 cards, and we could show that we're trying to get this person's money, and
right.
And Sly bumps George in the shoulder and says, "Yeah, George, get him some cards." I never got any. I
was going to say, I doubt you got those cards.
Yeah, that's it. That's the character development discussion I had with George P. Comatose and the star of our movie.
Well, talk a little bit. I mean, we were going to go into Lionheart and The Order. You kind of 2 times that you worked with Jean-Claude Van Damme, what it was like with him, Harrison Page on Lionheart.
Well, Harrison is Harrison's a marvelous. He is that warm, kind-hearted, supportive person. So, working with Harrison, excellent. Deborah Renard, great.
Mm-hmm.
Jean-Claude was mostly well-behaved on Lionheart. There was one day he didn't show up. But for the most part, he was on his game. When we were in Bulgaria on The Order, I don't want this to sound like I'm ranking on the stars, but is it coming off that way?
No, not at all. No.
Okay, because Jean-Claude was off his rocker. He was blowing snot on the set. He was showing up late. He went off on me for no reason. He wouldn't learn his. He wouldn't show up for fight rehearsal. So we were supposed to be fighting with swords, and you couldn't do more than 2 or 3 moves in a row without wondering if you're going to get hit, because he kept changing it. He was not in a work frame of mind. He was not disciplined. It was Jean-Claude. It was Jean-Claude management. Managing his addictions and his whims. It was. Yeah. I mean, making the movie it was like the last thing on his mind.
Yeah, you wonder kind of where his frame of mind was at that point. And I know on Lionheart, he had his buddies there, the Kesey brothers, Abdel Michel Kesey. Abdel, I believe, played Attila in that. I don't know how your time was with them, if they were buddy and they were kind of a clique, Jean-Claude and the Kesey brothers, and stayed away from you guys, or you were close with them, or?
I did not have any interaction other than on the set.
Mm-hmm.
You show up, you do your job, you go home. There wasn't any socialization. None.
Yeah, I think
that's nonetheless.
That's probably more common than people realize too.
Yeah.
Is that there's some movies where it's almost like they talk about, like on Karate Kid, they made all the kids kind of hang out and form their cliques, and it's imperative to the script and where the characters go. But in something like a Lionheart, where you didn't have much interaction with Van Damme in the film as it is, like you're kind of this henchman and things like that. So it's probably more common than people realize, I'd say.
Exactly. It is very much that way.
Well,
your film set is a construction site.
Well,
and you work in ridiculous hours, so you just get home, go to sleep, memorize your lines, and come back and work the next day. I mean, that's the way it is for the crew. For supporting actor, me, I get a lot of days off. So the leads, they don't get many days off, and it is
right,
unless they just don't show up.
And being a lead in a movie is exhausting. What David did on X-Files and Californication, the pressure on them is so immense, and people don't understand that. You're working 12-hour days, and that the amount of lines that they have to memorize for the next day, that's their life, Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
sure. Well, Brian, we got a fan question here. I'm sure you've never gotten this one before. We will break some new ground here because you, of course, played Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which has become kind of some
combat costume weigh a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Cap for Life Fest, does that costume weigh a lot? I'm sure you never heard that one before, but you could tackle it if you will.
It looked like it was metal, but that was foam, really lightweight foam.
Oh, weird.
Which made it very safe and very lightweight. Yeah. However, if you want to talk about a costume that weighed a lot, Dragonheart. I had a long leather coat that had all these little. It literally had iron ingots tied on with a leather strap, like every other inch. And
Yeah.
then I honestly think that it might have been a joke of the maybe somebody was trying to pull a fast one, but the coat itself weighed 40 pounds
Oh my God.
because they tied a bunch of iron to it. And no one could tell whether it was iron or whether it would be plastic. There were these little, I don't know if I have a close up in the movie, but it was like the costume was okay. It's time. And the, poor young girl could barely pick it up. So I get my shoulders in it. Like,
So what you're saying is you probably couldn't be a member of KISS.
member of KISS?
Yeah, they have 50 pounds of studs and armor for
Really?
every show. It's 50. I think Gene Simmons said it's 50 pounds.
Well, they need to talk to the costumer from Mortal Kombat and get that
Exactly.
Used to be foam. Come on, people.
It was coated with this shiny chrome stuff that it looked, you had to get up with a magnifying glass to tell it wasn't chrome.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, kind of as a personal note, like I just have such a connection to action movies from the 80s and 90s. And I feel like that today, I don't watch many action movies, to be honest. I just watched Top Gun Maverick, which was tremendous, but I get a feeling that most movies are so overblown with CGI and they're superhero movies. And it's just like, I don't connect like I did to the Rockies and Rambos and Terminators. I just don't have that connection. And with kind of as a tie-in to that, another question is, who, in your opinion, is the last best action hero and the last best villain? That's a tough one. I'd have to think about that one myself. I don't know if like a Jason Statham would be someone that would be a hero that people look up to today. I don't really know who would be someone that there are no Sylvester Stallones except for Stallone himself in 2022. I don't know.
Yeah, who has filled those shoes?
Like
those were unique shoes.
We got Michael B. Jordan. This guy, he's not just an action star specifically, but yeah, you're right. It's you think back to just even like back then you had Billy Blanks and guys that were doing kind of martial arts films. Jeff Westcott. There was a genre. There was like a martial arts genre that was like movies like Lionheart, but then there was like Bloodsport 3 and 4 and Mission of Justice and Matthias Hughes, the German actor, was doing all these there's just not really a subgenre for it anymore.
Scott Adkins. He's a good one.
Do you think that those movies ran their course? Do you think that, we got enough really good martial arts movies, really good boxing movies,
maybe
really good fight movies, and that they've been made? And I don't know that it's an absence of talent or if it's an absence of scripts.
Or just how many times can you retell the story of like a drug lord putting on these fighting tournaments and trying to tell that story in different ways? That was kind of the 80s and 90s thing, is you had some notorious...
How do you write a script where a really talented martial artist gets to fight a lot?
Right. I'll tell you though, I don't know if you've seen the movie Warrior 2011. I think it was amazing movie, like a modern day Rocky. No doubt about it. I highly recommend that one. Warrior with Tom Hardy's in it. Tom Hardy and Nick Nolte. It's just absolutely tremendous. Like one of the most heart-wrenching stories. It is up there. They call it a modern day Rocky. And I was laughed at that until I watched it, and it is amazing. And Frank Grillo also in it, who's great. And he's in a show called Kingdom. That's very similar. Great show as well.
Okay. I was just putting that on. Okay. Warrior on my movie list.
It's been on a bunch. It's been on Peacock recently. It's been on Prime. It's made its rounds. It's surely on something currently. That's the only thing that I can really think of. And that's the martial arts. It's more of an MMA type film, but this is
you're saying that's the last kind of type film that you remember that really took it home for you.
There you go. And there's a show called Kingdom, which is sort of stars Frank Grillo, who's awesome. And
Which movie was that?
It's a show called Kingdom that's on Peacock. Kingdom, and it's sort of a similar, but that you're right. Like they've all been made, and that was just a sign of the times. Today, I think studios are really into just, you've got the use of CGI, and I get it, you use it, and I think action films can become more than just your standard fight film, and it can go in so many different ways. And I think that's maybe why the action genre is not what it was.
Seems like superhero movies, a lot of remakes, and not a real lot of adventurous scripts out there.
Yeah, well, something that's happened to me when people start fighting in a movie. I just want to. I'll just, without the fast forward button, I just want to see, okay, who wins at the end? Boom. All that, because we've seen the kick to the face, the punch to the gut, the pull out the surprise weapon. We've seen it. I mean, when was the last time you saw a fight scene and said, well, that was
exactly.
They've never thrown a punch like that before.
Right. Sure. Terminator, you played a street punk. You and Bill, how did you and Bill Paxton wind up doing this? That's it just blows my mind. That's like you and Bill Paxton in this opening scene from Terminator. It's etched in my mind. The Terminator Arnold steals your clothes away. You have the famous line, it's laundry day, nothing's clean. But that's Bill Paxton. How? Like how did you guys get cast for that?
Well, Bill and Jim worked together at Corman Studios.
Got it.
Bill and Jim were buddies before, I think years before Terminator was even written.
Makes sense.
And so they had a very good friendship, and I guess that was the part that that Jim had for him in the film. And later, my God, Bill, the part he wrote for Bill in True Lies, that's my favorite Bill Paxton character.
That's great.
Do you remember his character in True Lies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so that's my personal favorite Bill Paxton character. And then how I got the job, standard agent calls up, hey, we got you an audition, punk rocker. What's punk rocker wear? So I was in college at the time. I was completing my third year of the MFA program at the University of California, Irvine. And I knew some in the dance department that looked kind of punky. And one of them lent me a ear cuff, and something else was kind of punky. I went to the audition. Stanzi Stokes was a casting director. To this day, without exception, the smallest room I have ever auditioned in. It had one door in. There was a picnic table. There was this two frizzy-haired kids and Stanzi on the other side of the picnic table, and Jim Cameron, and so did Gale Ann Hurd. He was 29 years old, and he said, we're making a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I read the lines, and Jim said, I believe it.
I love it.
Thank you for coming in. And a few days later, I got the job, and I was thrilled. I'm going to be in a movie with Arnold, with Conan the Barbarian. And I was in college, and people were kind of laughing about it, and I was kind of laughing about it. No one, not even when we were shooting, had any inkling of what the movie was going to be.
Yeah.
It was, you couldn't envision it from the script. It was in Jim's head and Stan Winston, what they were going to do with the stop animation and special effects. It was unbelievable, really. Still is.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the best action films out there. And in 1991, you work with the great Mel Brooks on Life Stinks as Victor. I mean, some of the kind of roles and people you've met, the George P. Cosmatos, Comatose, to Mel Brooks. What was it like working with Mel Brooks?
Mel Brooks. Oh man. Do I have a negative streak? I gotta question my, because there wasn't any amazing inspiration from Mel at the time. We had playback, and we'd watch the scenes, and Mel would watch the playback like this. And then he'd look at us, and he'd say, "Okay, we're gonna do it again. Funnier."
Oh, well, okay.
Got it.
That's it. That's the most specific direction that I got from Mel Brooks. I remember walking away thinking, just being disappointed.
Like, you're the funny guy. Like, give me some points. Give me some tips. Like,
yeah.
You can't just say funnier. Like,
yeah, that's the most specific direction I got from Mel Brooks. Sorry, Mel. I don't mean to be sounding like I'm negative, but
I think he's 96
that's
right
an
now.
absolute accurate statement. That is the most specific direction I got from Mel.
Wow.
And when I ran into Mel a few years later, he had no idea who I was. Had no recollection.
You hear people like that. It's weird. Some people have a thing for names and faces, especially in the business. Some it just passed by them like a stranger in a crowd, and that's just I guess how different it is.
And we worked together for 2 months, so.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you what, Brian. It has just been such a pleasure. We could go down. It's just been an honor. We could go down so many other rabbit holes, and maybe we will at some time. But it's just been tremendous to do this with you. Cannot thank you enough. But we are desperately out of time here on the show, Brian. Good luck to the Rams this year. Got everybody go check out The Tragedy of Macbeth. It is on Apple
TV.
Apple TV, yes, Apple TV right now, and we'll be looking for pickleball. In fact, we challenge you to a game of pickleball if we ever were to cross paths, and we'll see if your role in that.
You are in trouble now. You should never have spoke those words.
You better find a good partner then.
Oh. Otherwise, it's 2-on-1.
Oh, wait. No, it's Noah's going to have to find the good partner. I'm sorry, I misspoke. All right, Brian. Thank you so much, sir. Take care.
Okay, you guys be well.
You bet. You too. Thank you so much for the time.
Talk soon. Thanks.